Hey again, this is Einstein. This is my good friend Grasshopper. As I said before, I'm just collecting stories for different people, different walks of life, and just see what their walk with Jesus is like. But let's start with an easy question. What's your story? What do you do here in Nashville?
I'm a truck driver. I deliver beverages from one warehouse to another to Knoxville and back. So I have a dedicated route. So
Okay. How long have you been here in Nashville?
I'm a Nashville native.
Okay. Oh, born and raised?
I'm born and raised here. So
Oh, nice. Okay. How long would you say you've been a believer?
all my life, my family was Catholic.
Mm.
So we really didn't go to church a whole lot as a kid. We went every now and then. And as I started getting older and had my own kids, we started taking them to church, and we started going to the Catholic church. But since then, I've changed. I'm no longer Catholic. I go to the Grace Church of Nazarene. So
Okay. What instituted that change from going to Catholic church to going to the Church of Nazarene?
one of the main things is and I'm going to be brutally honest. The Catholic Church is under attack a lot for these priests having problems with kids.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I didn't want to be connected to that. And it seems like they can't get a handle on it, and they keep trying to sweep it under the rug.
Oh, I see.
And so I don't want to be part of that. I know not all Catholics feel that way, but if you really feel strong about something like that, I feel like that in order to get the message across, if they're not going to do nothing about it, then the people need to. And if they start losing enough people, they're
Be a wake up call.
Be a wake up call.
Yeah.
So I decided I no longer wanted to be part of it, and so my buddy that lives down the street, Picasso, he started going to the Grace Church of Nazarene right up the road here, right after the major floods that we had in Nashville. I think it was 2012. I think it was. This house that we're sitting in right now had 2 foot of water in it. I literally had minnows swimming.
I actually remember. Yeah, I remember
In my
that
house.
time. Yeah, I think I joined. That was shortly after I kind of joined. Yeah.
Yeah. So I talked to Picasso, and that church and a couple of other churches were one of the few churches that actually came into our neighborhood that was trying to help people. And so after talking to Picasso about it, and then told him that I needed to get back into church, I wanted to, and that's where I landed. And I've been there ever since. And it's been a good choice. They're a great church. They're very accepting to my culture of being a biker.
Yeah.
They don't judge you like a lot of churches would. They don't look at you funny.
Yeah.
I had to explain myself, what I do, which is normal.
Yeah.
I want people I want to explain it. I want people to understand what I do, or what we do. But after that, it was smooth sailing. So that's what I've been doing.
That's neat. You're actually not the first story I've heard where they've transitioned out of the Catholic Church, but that's interesting that yours is more of an institutional reason.
Yeah.
So what are some? That is really neat. Like how you describe like the church you're going to now, kind of accept the way you are, because that can be very difficult for like if you're in your own clique, like if you're in a group that you're comfortable with, it's very hard to like love is God love, like love everybody as they are, like meet them where they're at. So it is interesting. Tell me more about that though. Like what are some major differences you saw in your walk when you joined the Church of Nazarene compared to like the Catholic Church?
One of the main things is how accepting they were. When I come in, they were just a lot more friendly. I don't know, it sounds kind of petty, but they just they wanted you to be there, and I felt like with the church that I was going to, none of the people they didn't really know my name, and another thing, and I'm gonna be honest, when my house flooded, we are a member of the Catholic Church as far as it goes, to where they send us information, and envelopes for tithing and all this stuff. When my house flooded, I didn't even get a single phone call. I didn't get anything from the church to asking how we were, what was going on.
Yeah.
Nothing. The first thing that Grace Church did was, how can we help?
Oh, that's awesome.
So that changed my whole outlook. I'm thinking, this is how, to me, this is how church is supposed to be, with the outreach and helping people. And then people, they had no clue who I was, other than me being in this neighborhood and being flooded with the rest of the neighborhood.
Or like being on a register.
Yeah, being on a register, And so that was another reason, and I thought, well, there's some reason I'm not supposed to be here. And it didn't sit with me very well.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was kind of angry at a lot of things, so I used that as an excuse, I guess. At that time, that's the way I felt.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, I don't hold grudges against them. I just feel like where I'm at now, with Grace Church, is a lot better place, and that's where I needed to be. For some reason, it was supposed to work out. I don't believe in coincidences. There's a reason for everything.
Yeah, not that I'm saying I'm glad your house got flooded with
Right.
2 feet.
Yeah,
but
right.
I am glad of the good that God was able to work in that
and He
bad
works in
situation.
mysterious ways, and I do believe that was one of the ways it done it, because Picasso, my buddy, he can vouch for the same thing, because he was going through the same kind of transition. He was Catholic. He was raised Catholic. And he kind of feels the same way I do. There's a lot of damaging things that's going on in the Catholic, religion right now, and it's been going on for a long time, and it doesn't seem like it's getting any better.
Yeah, that is cool that God brought Picasso in your life, who was in a situation where you can kind of learn off of that, or in a situation that mirrored yours, just in a later stage in his life. So that's really neat.
This is not somebody that I just had met for a few years. I've been knowing this guy for 23, 24 years. So if anybody knows me, it's him. And he realized and seen what was going on too, so that's the reason why I listen to him, because I can be kind of hard-headed and not listen to people sometimes.
Right.
Kind of.
But God used someone who was already in your life.
He uses some people that they know that'll make me pay attention. So I've tried to learn to start listening more.
Oh, okay.
And not speak so much.
That is pretty hard, especially for our group too. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, you were. I want to touch up on something that I really liked. It sounded like a lot of your decisions were based on like what's best for your family, what were best for your daughters as well.
Yeah.
Like how is being like a husband or a father or just like the caretaker of your home influenced your walk as well?
It's influenced a lot, because your priorities change. Once you get married, your priorities change when you don't have kids. It's no longer just about you. And then you have a wife or whatever, and so then there's two of you. So then there's two of you in this picture that you have to make sure that that things go as well as possible, that you have control over. And then when you add kids into the picture, it completely changes. You're no longer that person that you think first. I don't know how to explain it. Kids are that's your main priority. And so I wanted to raise my kids as Christians, and like I said, when they were first born and got old enough to understand, a little bit about religion and stuff, we were still going to the Catholic school, so we put them in Sunday school, and we were going to church and all that. So I wanted to make sure that I at least planted the seed to get a good foundation for them to understanding that Christianity is important to me. There's a lot of other religions, when they get grown, they make their own decisions, but I at least wanted to make sure that they knew how important Christianity was to me and our family.
Right.
So
and that's a lot of work laying down that foundation.
It is, and being a Christian right now, ever since I've got into CMA, being a Christian is probably one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. Because somebody had told me in the past, the harder that you start trying to be a good Christian and stay in line with God, the harder that Satan will come after you. And it's true.
Yeah, because
it really is, because now you're a threat to him.
Right. I think Big K was saying, like, the devil's not going to mess with you if you're, like, running in the same direction as him.
Right. If you're setting it idle, then he knows he's got you where he wants you. But when you start battling back and praising God and accepting Jesus, he finds that as a threat.
Yeah.
And it's true. Because, he's definitely been after us for the last few years,
Yeah.
with different things, and it just keeps on coming. But, you keep the faith and keep praying. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
So.
How long have you been in CMA, by the way?
This year will be 7 years.
7 years? Okay, good. Well, more than double than me. How has being in CMA affected your walk, too?
It's affected a lot.
Yeah.
It's made me
I know that's a heavy question.
More accountable for a lot of things, and to be more conscious.
Accountable for yourself or other people?
For myself, mainly, of how I act and how I speak, and how I treat people. Especially when we have our patch on our back, because you're at that point you're a representation of something that's bigger than you are.
Right.
And when you're part of an organization, you need to act accordingly. Just like wearing a uniform at a job. You got your uniform on and you leave work and you still have that uniform on. You go into a gas station, you're still representing because you have that company's name on it. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. You have to be aware of who you are and what you're representing.
Yeah.
And you try to do it to your best ability. I mean, that's all we can do.
Yeah, because I think it was at the Christian Unity Conference last weekend where they were saying, like, when one CMA, if they didn't say CMA exactly, but basically if one CMA member did something, like, that represented the whole organization.
Yeah,
biker communities don't, and I think, like, people in general don't isolate one person's actions. Like, if they see a Christian doing something, they associate that with all Christians.
They clump it all together, which is human nature to do. We've all done it. I mean, but you don't even realize you're doing it. But one action affects all of us. And if it's a negative or positive, it's here lately it seems like the negatives get they get recognized.
Yeah, because biologically our minds stick to the negatives.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean, like, the powerful positive stuff can't, like, shine through. It's like I really liked how Goat and Mike Norris were talking about Doc Bob, like, just the good things that he's done. Because, like, even if our minds are naturally inclined to the negative parts, like, I feel like those the positive parts are going to stick out where they need to. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. It's gonna shine when it needs to. That's the way I look at things. I've learned one thing is you don't have to tell people who you are. Just let your actions show. If you have to tell somebody who you are or what you're doing, then there's probably something going on with you.
That's true. It's more like you're trying to sell something.
You're trying You're trying too hard to get to get attention, I guess.
Yeah.
Not
to say evangelizing is bad, but people will definitely recognize actions more than Bible thumping.
Right. Like I mean, words are words. You have to be careful and choose your words. But it's your actions. People see that. So that's one thing that I've learned is just do it by your actions.
Yeah, I agree. Little off topic. What's been your favorite motorcycle you've owned?
Well,
how many have you owned, actually?
I've had 4. I had a Honda Trail 70, which is what I grew up on. It's a little mini bike. And then I had another Honda, like a CB CR 100. I don't know. It was a 1970s model.
Yeah.
It was the first real motorcycle that had a clutch and where you could have to shift. It didn't last very long. It blew up on me. Blowed oil on everything.
Gosh.
But But after that, I went for a long time, about 10 years, and didn't have a motorcycle. And then a friend of mine had a GL 1000 Goldwing, a 1978 model.
Oh, you had a Goldwing at one point? Oh, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my first real big bike. It was a basket case. It needed a lot of work. Kept it running for a little while between me and my brother working on it. But it got so hard to keep parts. With that age, local places don't keep parts. We had to order them straight from Japan.
Oh.
And it took forever, and parts were expensive, and so I finally I got rid of it. I couldn't afford to keep it. You know? So I sold it to a guy that was using it for parts for another Goldwing that he had.
Oh, okay.
So that way it kind of worked out for him. You know, he already had one that needed parts, so I got rid of it, and then I got the Honda VTX 1800.
Yeah.
And overall, that one's probably the best bike that I've ever owned. You know,
That is a
far
good
as
bike. Sorry. Just so after my motorcycle accident, after a couple of months of healing, I had to sell my bike out for insurance, and that was sad because that was the bike that Big K and Shutterbug and Goat and Tank and just a whole lot of other people helped me pick out. I was devastated to have to sell that, but I feel like that was good. That was God's timing though too, because like Grazhopper needed to sell a bike, and I was able to buy a bike off of him. So, and I knew where it came from, so that did just make me feel a lot better. And it's been a good bike ever since. It's like has more than twice the power than my old bike did, so that took some getting used to. But it's been a good bike.
Yeah.
Okay.
I owned the VTX for 6 years, so I've only owned the Harley that I own now for a little over a year now.
Yeah, not that long.
So that's still in progress. I mean, the Harley's been a good bike up to this point. I haven't had any problems with it. But when you compare them time-wise, right now the VTX is definitely the best bike, you know, that I've had so far. Zero problems out of it.
Nice.
It's a good bike. It's a really good bike.
Yeah. Well, do you have any last nuggets of wisdom or advice for people, or just anything for people who are struggling in their faith?
For people that are struggling in their faith, I can speak for myself because I struggle on and off as humans do. You know?
Yeah.
We all struggle. The one thing I have to keep telling myself is to keep the faith. You know, when things start getting tough, just start praying more than you normally would. You know, some people got different levels of praying, and when they do, I just have to remind myself that if I'm not praying enough, then pray harder and keep the faith that God's in control. And some of the things that are going on is out of our control, and that's one thing we're going to have to accept, that you're not going to change things, you know, in this world as far as what's going on. And you got to learn to let it go.
Yeah,
and that's one thing that I've had to do is to get off of Facebook and quit posting stupid crap, you know, because I'm angry, you know, at our situation, but there's nothing that I'm going to do to convince somebody else, you know. But the main thing is keep the faith, don't give up. And that's usually the hardest thing to do. It's the easiest thing to do, actually, is to give up.
Yeah.
And we just keep praying, really.
That's good. That's a good way to end it. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Y'all stay blessed.